Hello and welcome to Find Your Voice, where we interview thought leaders from our community at Podcast Guesting Pro. I'm Cassandra Welford, and today I have the pleasure of being joined by Bruce Yang. Bruce is the co-founder and CEO of Agnes AI, one of Southeast Asia's fastest growing AI platforms. With experience at Microsoft, LinkedIn, Fitbit, and multiple startups, Bruce brings serious technical and founder authority to the AI conversation. Through Agnes AI, Bruce is building AI for the other 99.5%, making advanced AI more accessible, affordable, and practical. Under his leadership, Agnes AI has grown to nearly 10 million users globally and close to $20 million in annual recurring revenue. With its Agnes Claw models ranking among the top global AI models in Pinch Bench, it is now competing with far larger companies. Bruce, it's a pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Cassie. I'm very glad to join you for this show. I'm very interested in sharing more about what Agnes is doing for your audience.
We're really looking forward to finding out more. And I would love to start by asking, when did AI stop feeling like an interesting field to watch and start feeling like something that you had to build yourself?
Sounds good. So I think the beginning comes from 2023 when GPT-3 came around. That's a time when a lot of experience about AI, especially with the computational AI, there's a lot of intelligence embedded in the conversation, more speaking like a human, and get the kind of knowledge, world knowledge, which is beyond the limit of human. So that's one of very important starting point. So through the years from 2023 to up until now, there's a new surge of AI growth, which comes from coding. And coding harness is something which we see from Cloud Code, from Codex for the last 2 years, which become a very prominent growth. And this is believed to be the first area to achieve AGI and potentially hitting AGI point by end of this year. And the reason that we see a lot of coding in progress, getting a lot of people from non-developers to professionals to use AI on an everyday basis is because the long horizon process of agentic framework, which allows AI to work nonstop with multiple agents, multiple AIs work together, multiple instances. So that's another opportunity for AI to become an everyday equipment for everybody.
Wow. And you've achieved so much in such a short space of time, like 2023. That's not actually that long ago, but your industry moves so quickly, doesn't it?
Exactly. Very fast.
Okay, absolutely. And a lot of people assume that the most important AI companies have to come from the US or other major tech hubs. What made you believe that a globally competitive company could be built from Singapore?
Yeah, also very good question. I think, stereotype where all the big model companies have to come from US or China. And that was true for the last couple of years, especially with the talent supplies in these regions. And also in terms of the resources like fundraising, GPU providings. But recently, I think starting from about 1.5 years ago, when Agnes started established, we found that we can potentially be a player because a lot of things has become more available, like the talent which we are able to access to, not only from Singapore, but from the entire region, like Southeast Asia and from China, and also the GPUs, and also the open source community has become quite a prominent player in forming the new landscape of AI. So I would say that with a lot of new things happening, infrastructure building, we don't have to limit ourselves only in areas like China and the US to become a global frontier model company.
I love that. No limits.
Yeah, exactly.
And most AI companies in Southeast Asia are building applications or integrations on top of existing models. Agnes AI is doing something different. You're actually training the models yourself. So what made you decide on that route, and what does it actually take to operate and model a company?
So when Agnes came up, I was actually doing my PhD at AOS. I had my experience of studying in Singapore and university undergrad at UC Berkeley in the States in the Valley. And I joined Microsoft and LinkedIn and worked for a couple of years before I came back to Singapore to pursue my PhD. So I do not actually start my PhD right after school. It's a couple 10 years of work experience before I start my PhD. But I think it's a very good timing because this is a time which we were able to witness the growth of AI with ChatGPT, with Anthropic, with Gemini, with DeepSeek. And we feel that it's our chance to join the game and swim with all the giants. At the beginning, we do not really have the kind of ambition to really create our own model. We are more like train our model for the purpose of develop our applications because our app, starting from with the launch of Agnes product, the agent product was around July of last year. And from the July, our first launch to the end of last year, we already have an audience close to 6 million. Up till right now, it's about 10 million. That's a lot of users. And if we rely on the external APIs from Anthropic, OpenAI, or Gemini, it's a lot of money. If you look at the tokens we're burning every day, if we don't train our own model, 10 million users using our product nonstop, it could potentially generate something like millions of dollars every single day, which is pretty crazy. So the first idea of training our own model is to replace the APIs from our external suppliers. And that's something we started to work on in the middle of last year. And through the entire last 1 year, we are able to replace 80% to 90% of usage by our own models. And starting from first quarter of this year, we feel that we're good enough to try to serve other clients. And it looks like our APIs are pretty stable. We also achieve pretty high in terms of the benchmarks. Our test model is ranked top 10 in PinchBench and Cloud Eval, which are like the most renowned benchmarks for agentic workflows. And our image and video models are also ranked top 10 on artificial analysis, which is the most recognized benchmarks for all the global players, AI players, because this is blind reviews by a lot of human experts without knowing which artifacts generated by your model. So with that results coming up, we have the confidence to try to serve other clients, and we're also able to achieve a very high cost efficiency, something like 1 to the 100 of ChatGPT of C-dense image video, which is pretty super efficient and very, very affordable. So this is why we start to train and supply our model APIs, model services.
That's amazing and such impressive metrics. Like,
Thank you.
you've definitely embodied the no limits rule. I love that. And tell us about the team behind Agnes AI. What kind of people does it take to train foundational models?
Yeah, we have about 100 researchers in the team, and part of the team is in Singapore, another part is in China. I myself is a PhD at National University of Singapore. My advisor, who's a professor at some School of Computing, he's also part of the team. So we have researchers from National University of Singapore, NTU, Nanyang Technological University, also one of the very famous universities in the region. So the kind of research people, and we also have very smart hires from China, from Tsinghua University, from Zhejiang University, which is where DeepSeek was born. We also have a lot of experts in engineering who help us to build the harness, which is like the tool to enable AI to perform better, to unleash more potential. So altogether, we have over 100 researchers working on our models across nations, from Singapore to China. As mentioned, no limits, right? So we don't see a lot of models coming from these regions, from Singapore, from part of China, despite we see very successful companies from Shanghai, from Beijing. So we want to replicate the kind of success, but from a different region and embody a different kind of vision, which is AI parity and AI inclusion. So that's a team behind Agnes AI right now.
Very powerful team effort
Yes,
to
it is.
success. And a lot of companies claim that their AI is world class, but you have these independent third party benchmarkings that
Right.
back it up. How important is that external validation when you're building trust with enterprise customers and also the government?
Yeah, so one of the ideas about having the benchmarks in our training is we try to find a way to have idea of eval-driven development. Without the benchmarks, you actually don't really know how well the model perform, and the iteration would be very long if you try to get feedback from the audience. So we do feel that with evaluation, especially global recognized evaluations and rankings, as a prerequisite of our model, that will help us to gain the kind of confidence to make sure that
Mm.
this actually serve well to the audience. So as I mentioned, we have a range of models spanning from text, image, and video. And all three of these models are ranked top 10 globally as top 10, one of the top 10 labs, Agnes AI. Very few players in the world are able to achieve this. The only other three players who are able to achieve top 10 in the global rankings for the omni modality would be OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, Gemini, which is Google's AI product, and Alibaba's Queen. So we are the fourth player in the entire AI model labs who are able to rank top 10 from all three modalities, which is pretty good.
Pretty
And
good, Bruce. That's
thank,
that's been very
thank you.
humble.
And we are also getting a lot of feedback from our early adopters. So we do have our community, which is formed by WeChat groups, WhatsApp groups, and Discord. We're hosting around 30 to 50 groups. Each of the group have over 200 people giving feedback to us for their initial usage of our product. And we're tracking all the feedback, where the most frequent use cases of our APIs and where they see we're not doing good enough. We'll make sure that for anything that they call out, especially by a lot of people, we'll try to mitigate the problem in the next round of training. So that way we're able to keep up the pace, right? So
Mm.
a lot of users, which we are catering right now, are using other APIs like from Gemini, from OpenAI, from Kimi or Minimax or DeepSeek from China. We're trying to catch up very quickly with all these players by getting the users from these providers to compare us with the other players and to tell us
Mm.
where we're lagging behind. Yeah.
Very good way to build that trust.
Yes, thank you, guys. Yeah.
Most people assume training a globally competitive model must cost an enormous amount, but you found a different path. What
Right.
does Agnes AI's approach to training efficiency actually look like, and how does it make free access economically sustainable?
That's a very good question. So one thing I want to share with you is our cost without giving the subsidy is very attractive. Our cost for per million token is at $0.15 for output token, compared to the $15 from ChatGPT or Anthropic, which is like 1 to the 100 of that of the SOTA models, frontier models. So 1 to the 100 is a whole huge number, right? The models from China, like DeepSeek, is around maybe 1/10 or
Mm.
maybe 1 to 20 of ChatGPT cloud, which is already crazily good. But we're taking one extra step to lower that to another 10 times.
Wow.
So this is the cost we're talking about. Similarly, for image and video, compared to the ChatGPT Image 2 and video for example, CDance, which are the frontier models, SOTA models, we also have a cost which is around 1 to the 50 to the 1 to the 100 of these models. So altogether, for omni-modality, text, image, and video, we're able to provide our
Mhm.
API access with a cost which is very small fraction of the best models. At the same time, we are ranked top 10 in terms of our caliber. So that could potentially be a huge game changer. I understand a lot of people would spend maybe twice as much to buy a premium that's possible, but a premium of 10% difference won't really require 100 times of spending. So if
Mm.
we're able to bring the cost down, we definitely have have a huge market, which is not in competition with the best models out there, right? Because these are the models which are serving the richest people or the most affordable small percentage, which we are talking about the 0.5% of people. That's why we call ourselves a model for the 99.5% in a global market.
I love that. And that slightly overlaps into the next question about free access. So, free access usually means limited access, but Agnes AI is offering unlimited, production ready across text, image, video. Who is this really for, and how long do you plan on keeping that free for?
So we start to have this campaign of free access just earlier this month, starting from June 1st. And it has been drastically successful because we are able to reach something like 200B token usage per day, uh, which is around maybe 1/10 of that Open Router. Open Router is a model service platform for all the models. We're able to reach around 1/10 of the entire traffic. because of the free access. And the reason we want to push this and how long we want to push for this, let me answer the second one first, latter one first. We're planning to give free access indefinitely to all the people globally, but we have a limit in the request per minute. So that means if you're an individual developer, for the limit which we have right now, 20 per minute, you're almost able to build without any kind of hurdle. But if you, enterprise for the limit which we're setting, you probably find it difficult to serve further audience. So it's more like we give free access to the general public, but we're looking to have conversions from enterprise or from power users. That's the idea behind it. Why we're able to achieve that is, as mentioned, our cost is only like 1 to the 100 of the SOTA models. Instead of trying to ensure that our models are very much easy to be afforded, much cost efficient, I think the best way would be give free access to have everybody try it out. Otherwise, a lot of people will not really break their habits of
Yeah.
using ChatGPT, using cloud, and it's more difficult to get people to try our product than letting them spend money down the road, because the cost itself doesn't really make any difference. Used to be the people spending money on ChatGPT and the cloud, right? The 1 to the 100 is almost like not spending anything. You're just spending the same amount, 100 times amount on ChatGPT and cloud. So we do believe that the loss of the kind of spending which we're putting up for the purpose of getting people access, lowering the barrier of access, is very reasonable, and the loss which we generate is much smaller compared to the other model companies. We try to acquire users by lower the cost, but still ask people to spend, because the entire cost is already lower than the loss of the other model companies. So there's no.
Wow, that makes complete sense. I love the way that you've approached that strategy. And Agnes AI is built, trained, and owned in Singapore. So for industries like aviation, maritime, finance, and healthcare, why does it matter where these models come from and who actually owns them?
So you see a lot of enterprise solutions, especially if you need data in privacy, you would really want the models to be deployed on your own server. Otherwise, if you rely on other servers, APIs, especially from the mass platforms, the model as service platforms, you don't really know where your input, your prompt goes to after the behind the scene, right? So we try to make it transparent by offering the opportunity to deploy into the customer's own cloud service, or deploy into a specific service which is provided by our clients. That way, we give the kind of controllability and flexibility for users to decide which model to use, the kind of parameter which they want to input, and they know exactly where the prompt goes to which model in which server. And this is going to be extremely important if we talk about enterprise solutions which need private data installations. Yeah, so that's the kind of idea behind we train our own model and deploy on the servers in the region.
Yeah, so the security is paramount for those industries.
That's
And
right.
Agnes AI clearly is not just a research lab, there's a commercial model. So how do you think about monetization, and where does the business go beyond free API access?
So despite we are providing our models for free for the general public, we have seen about 1% of conversion from our users for the first day. On the first day, the conversion rate can goes up, maybe 3%, 10%. Will be good enough for our consumer business, because we are not even spending that much money with our cost reduction, cost optimization. So most of our future monetization will rely on two efforts. Number one is our enterprise. We want to provide more stable and high request per second, high bandwidth to the enterprise solutions, which need high amount of usage and more stable supplies and support, maybe even better models specifically trained for their own purposes. This is our major monetization channel. And in order to achieve this, we do have the kind of brand awareness. And the brand awareness is achieved only from our free access for the general public, because these are the users who use already our product and the decision makers that we're good enough. Even if we're good enough, but nobody are trying out, we don't get a chance to get people using our product. So we are all like a market driven instead of sales driven, and the market driven is from our consumer strategy. Another approach for our monetization is from harness. So you remember I told you about the second stage of the AI is coding harness, like what Cloud Code and Codex was doing. They are very successful. These are the drivers, the monetization drivers, Anthropic and OpenAI. We're going to come up with our own harness, coding harness, which is similar to Cloud Code and Codex, which will work very closely with our models, suited for our models, so that for the users who want to develop, have some office work or design work, they can not only plug in our APIs to Codex and Cloud Code, they can also use our coding harness, and this coding harness would be a pay service. So these two are two approaches for us to generate revenue. In short, we give a free access to general public for our API. This is more like a marketing strategy. Only when we have the kind of awareness, we're able to bring revenue from our harness and from enterprise solutions. Yeah.
Thank you. And you mentioned about brand awareness and reaching new consumers. I would love to know what inspired you to use podcasting as a method of reaching that audience and how you found it so far.
Well, we have a pretty good presence on LinkedIn and on X. We really want to make sure that we are a transparent company instead of a black box. So I think it's a very important window, like a podcast, for the audience to really know about the company, to know about the team, know about our strategy and our vision. And that's something we really want to ring the bell to our customers, because it's going to be the kind of brand awareness which can finally drive our monetization. So I really appreciate the podcast. I do join podcasts once for a while, maybe once every 2 weeks, to share more about our updates. And I really want to make it very personal touch instead of just providing the APIs. Yeah,
I love that. Providing that personal touch and reaching new trusted audiences as
exactly.
well. Because when you're invited on the show, you're already a trusted source of information. I think
Exactly.
that's so valuable to reach that warm audience. And we're loving working with you so far, Bruce. And for anyone listening, how can they connect with you?
So if you search my name, Bruce Yang, on LinkedIn, you can find me pretty well. I'm pretty responsive, so every message I'll be able to respond in hopefully in 24 hours. You can also search Agnes AI on Google. You're able to see our website. You're able to try our product or check out our APIs. So for any question, direct to me from email, from LinkedIn. Once for a while, I'm going to go through another podcast to answer these questions. Yeah, so these are the channels to get the feedbacks and respond. Yeah.
Perfect. Bruce, I understand you are a very busy man. Thank you for your time today and your insightful answers. We're really enjoying working with you at Podcast Guesting Pro and want to wish you all the best for your continued success.
Thank you very much, Cassie. It's very great talking to you. Yeah, have a good one.
Thank you. And thank you for listening.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.